Hey you guys, and welcome back. I wasn't gonna film this video today, but then I came home and my hair was still curled. My friend Erin did my hair again. She re-dyed it. It doesn't look as light on camera as it really is in person. My friend Erin dyed it quite a bit blonder, and then she came over yesterday and she curled it for me. So before I washed it, I was like, I need to sit down and film a video because I don't know how to curl my hair. Like, I can't curl my own hair, and I actually don't even have a curler. So while it's curled, I was like, I need to just sit down and film a video. So that's what we're doing right now. What I'm talking about today are my favorite warm drugstore eyeshadow palettes. Typically, I like to wear warmer shades in the fall time. Not right now, obviously. I have like a cooler toned look, but I do like warm toned palettes in the fall time. So I'm going to be sharing with you 6 of my favorites, well 5, and then one kind of like bonus palette. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's go ahead and get started. First palette I want to talk about is an old palette, but I feel like it's still really, really good. And this is the NYX Perfect Filter eyeshadow palette. It is in the shade Rustic Antique. It's a couple years old, but it is so good. The colors in here are absolutely beautiful. You have a mix of mattes and shimmers. It's not super duper pigmented, so you can really build these shadows up to your liking. I just love it. It's like that perfect everyday fall palette. The formula is really soft and smooth, but I feel like no one talks about it. I think it's really good, so I thought I would mention it in this video. The next palette is another one from NYX, but it's a little bit newer than that Rustic Antique palette. This is their Ultimate Shadow palette in the shade Phoenix. It is very warm. Like, there's only really one direction you can go with this palette, although they do have some like greeny plummy shades as well. So I don't know, it's not my favorite formula. Like, I prefer the Rustic, the Perfect Filter formula over this one. This is just a little bit drier, but you can still get such pretty looks from it. I feel like it is still a unique palette at the drugstore. The shadows blend really nicely. They are pretty pigmented as well. They're just a little bit drier, like to the touch, and not quite as creamy as the Perfect Filter one, but still really nice. You are into super warm, intense eye looks, I feel like this is the palette for you. So next palette is one of my all-time favorite palettes. I don't remember if I discovered it in 2018 or 2019, but it quickly became one of my favorites, and this is the e.l.f. Rose Gold Sunset eyeshadow palette. Not the original Rose Gold one, the Sunset version. Mine broke. Of course, I drop my favorite palette on like hard tile. I'm like scared to lift it a little bit because a bunch of the shades are kind of popping out. It's not the warmest palette on the market. Like, those other two I just showed you are definitely more warm, and still get such pretty warm toned looks from this. The formula is just so good. Creamy, smooth, pigmented, blendable, like everything you would want in a drugstore eyeshadow palette is in this one. I have worn this palette so often. It's actually a really easy palette to travel with as well, except don't drop it on like hard tile. One of e.l.f.'s best palettes. I think maybe it's my favorite e.l.f. palette, like, of all time. The other kind of sunsetty eyeshadow palette from the drugstore that I wasn't going to talk about today, and I don't have to show you right now, but it is good as well, is the CoverGirl Sunset eyeshadow palette. I just feel like this one tops that one, and I'd rather show this one instead, so totally recommend you get the e.l.f. Rose Gold Sunset palette. It is beautiful and one of the best eyeshadow formulas I've ever tried. Okay, next one is another one of like my all-time favorite palettes. I loved this palette so much last fall and winter, and this is the BH Cosmetics Glam Reflection Gilded eyeshadow palette, and I think this might just be in the gold shade, or maybe it's in the shade called Gilded. I don't know. Such a good formula, and not really your conventional warm palette. Like, there's no reds in this palette. There's not really any burgundy shades. It's kind of more of a, I don't know, like a mustardy brown warm palette. It's so good. I'm actually wearing a couple of the shades on my eyes today. That's in my inner corner. This is in my crease, and that's on my lash line. Such a good formula. So smooth and pigmented and soft. The shimmers are super duper intense and beautiful on the lids. The mattes blend really nicely. Cannot rave about this palette enough. Makes me want to pick up more of the Glam Reflection palettes from BH Cosmetics. Quality is just so amazing. In general, I think BH Cosmetics might have the best quality, affordable eyeshadows that I've tried. I like a lot of their palettes. I've never really had bad luck with them, so this one is a definite must-have fall palette for me. I think it is beautiful. We are down to like my last couple palettes. This one I've talked about a ton recently, and it's the Makeup Revolution Soph X Extra Spice palette. Of course I had to talk about this one because it is super duper warm and beautiful, and the formula is amazing. You guys would have seen this in a bunch of videos lately. I featured it during the brand slam week I just did on Revolution Beauty. It's really easy to use and work with. The mattes are really nice and the shimmers are very intense and shiny and beautiful. I actually just picked up their Creme Brulee palette from I Heart Revolution. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm so excited to try that. It just arrived in the mail the other day. I also just wanted to quickly bring up the Rimmel Spice palette. It's their Magnifies eyeshadow palette. The reason I didn't want to include it was just I felt like there wasn't enough depth for me, and the shades kind of all blended and looked the same on my eyes, so it didn't make this list. But if you're not looking for depth and you're looking for something that's kind of that monochromatic eye look, that's a good palette as well. Nice formula, very warm tone shades. I just didn't want to include it because it was kind of too much of the same shade for my liking. And the last palette is a little bit of a, I don't know, kind of like a bonus palette because I really just got it and I've only worn it like for maybe a week and a half. I wanted to include it though because it's new and it's really good so far. Like I really have been enjoying it, and it's the Wet n Wild Coffin Break. It's kind of like a neutral warm palette. I don't know, it's just really good. It's like $4 and I thought it would be perfect for fall, so I wanted to include it. This is kind of more like my favorite fall eyeshadow palette. I feel like some of them weren't that warm now that I look at them. But this one I did want to just talk about quickly because it's really nice. It has a whole bunch of different shades. It's super travel friendly. It reminds me of like leaves and pumpkins and spices and like scarecrows and stuff. I don't know, but I would mention it because it has been really good and I've been really liking it so far. That sums up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you liked my picks. If you have other warm tone eyeshadow palettes that you love from the drugstore that I did not talk about today, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you would like this in a cool tone version. I also love cool tones. As you can tell, I'm wearing cool tones on my eyes right now. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Please subscribe if you would like to see more videos, and I'll see you in my next one.